The Minnesota Twins in 2023 put up a record of 87 and 75, netting them the AL Central Division title, and they ended up breaking their playoff drought as well. They've won their first playoff game in I think almost 20 years, if not 20 years on the dot. However, they did end up losing in the ALDS. Heading into 2024, this is a team that are the favorites to win the AL Central for a second consecutive year, but they would like to do more in the postseason this year after breaking their drought. So without wasting any more time, let's just dive straight into this. My name is Derek. I'm here with John. You're watching Bleacher Brawls, and this is your Minnesota Twins 2024 team profile. First things first, let's get straight into this. Let's start with some of the key players for this Twins team. I'll hand it over to John first. So, John, who are three key players for this Twins team? And out of those three, choose one who would like to elaborate as why they are a key player for this team.
So the key players I would say on this Minnesota Twins team, well, obviously Pablo Lopez, one of the better pitchers in Major League Baseball, really going to be important if they plan on winning this division again. Byron Buxton, always a really good player, is always going to be important to this team when healthy. And then the one I want to focus on is Carlos Correa. Obviously, I despise the guy, and I think it's really funny that he never really got his money and is now stuck playing in Minnesota of all places. But all those things being said, this is a guy that, when healthy, when playing his best, can really put a team on his shoulders or on his back and carry a team. So in a weaker division, he can be a real difference maker.
Definitely. And I think for this Twins team, that's important to have a guy like Correa, especially with them likely having deep postseason aspirations. For me, I look at this Twins team. I like Yohan Duran a lot. I like Royce Lewis. However, I do feel like it's needed to focus on Byron Buxton. This is a guy who's been plagued by injuries, but when he's healthy, we saw it in 2022 when he was healthy in 2022. He played in 92 games. He hit 28 homers. Now, he only hit 222. You're not going to get a super high average out of Byron Buxton, but it was still a 136 weighted runs created plus. Put up a 4 WAR, 4.0 F4 in 22. And then in 21, 61 games, 19 homers. His average was actually 306. He looked like a legit MVP candidate. Put up a 4.1 F4 in just 61 games. This is a guy who could be a legitimate MVP candidate if he could stay healthy and he's at his best. He hasn't done that, though. I think he hasn't played 100 games since 2017, where he played 140. And that's the only time he's played more than 100 games in his career. He's a guy who was a top prospect, made his debut at 21 years old in 2015. Looked like he had a super bright future, good defender in center field, can run, can hit for power, just kind of five-tool guy. But he hasn't been able to put it all together and stay healthy. He's so important for this Twins team. If Byron Buxton is MVP caliber Byron Buxton, and you put Carlos Correa next to him, and then you all the surrounding talent, Julian and Royce Lewis, and you start putting the pieces together, and this Twins team could be dangerous. Really dangerous, especially in a weak AL Central. But Buxton is the biggest question mark, and I will also explain a little bit on their contingency plan for Byron Buxton, because they had it with Michael A. Taylor last year. They were going to DH Buxton and whatnot, and that didn't really work out either, because Buxton last year only played 85 games, right? So we'll see what happens. I'll talk a little bit about the contingency plan later, because I do have someone that will fit into our key offseason moves segment, which we will move to right now. And we talk about some of their key offseason moves for the Twins. They traded Jorge Polanco, their longest tenure player, and I think, where they got Anthony Descalfani, Justin Topa, and a couple other pieces as well. They signed Carlos Santana. I also traded for Manuel Margot after he was traded from the Rays to the Dodgers in the Tyler Glasnow deal. I'll hand it over to you, John. What offseason move for this Twins team you think is key for them?
I honestly think what a key move for them, in kind of a negative way, is the fact that they lost Sonny Gray, who was an innings eater and a really good pitcher behind Pablo Lopez. And when you have Sonny Gray pitching in the Pitcher's Park, which is what Minnesota is, Target Field, I think it's called. I know his record was 8-8, but he had a sub-3 ERA, 180 innings, and 183 strikeouts. So just he's really, really valuable to this team, and that's the guy they lost. And I don't really, doesn't really, in my mind, with Scalifani, I think is how his name's pronounced out of San Francisco. Like,
Desclafani.
yeah, Desclafani. Okay, good pitcher, but he's already on the disabled list. So I think you need somebody that can really eat innings to be a solid pitcher, and they lost that. And I don't really, doesn't to me, I don't think they really replaced him.
Yeah, definitely. For me, I'm going to talk about the batting boxing contingency plan. Michael A. Taylor leaving in the offseason. They didn't really have one until they made their move for Manuel Margot recently. Margot is extremely interesting for me because he's been good at times, very good for the Rays at times. However, just how good is a question mark, right? And I think here's the big thing that he had with the Rays that did not go well for him. He could not hit at Tropicana Field. Could not. There are some guys who just can't hack it there. Nelson Cruz was one of them. Nelson Cruz is probably the most famous example. The Rays traded for him at the deadline in 21, and he just could not hit there, right? Some guys cannot hit in certain ballparks. Juan Soto in San Diego, relative to what Juan Soto normally does. Soto still hit decent, pretty well there by a normal person's standards. But Manuel Margot at Tropicana Field, 149 games started, 176 games total, 627 plate appearances. That's a whole season worth in his career at Tropicana Field. 256 average and a 665 OPS. Only 7 homers there. That's not great. And then you also, too, if you want to kind of extrapolate that to, 2023 as a whole, at Tropicana Field in 2023, 50 games. He started 38 of them. 219 average, 274 on base, 315 slugging for a 589 OPS. You take that and you put that overall, that's a 59 OPS plus. That's not good, right? And that's compared to all hitters on every single hitter's home splits. That's the split OPS of 59 OPS plus. On away games, 49 games, 43 games started, 303 batting average, 341 on base, 430 slugging for a 70-71 OPS and a 114 split OPS plus. It also hit 2 home runs on the road compared to 2 at home. But I think overall, his OPS was almost 200 points higher on the road compared to at home, and basically the same number of games. That's interesting. If you look at Manuel Margot's numbers playing at Dodger Stadium in his career, you would look at it and go, hold on, Manuel Margot might actually be fine. He has an 855 career OPS in 25 games at Dodger Stadium. However, you look at Minnesota, he's only played 7 games there, so small sample size, but 545 OPS. I think it'll be interesting. If Manuel Margot can hit in Minnesota, I think the Twins might have a very, very interesting option, a very well contingency plan. He can play all 3 outfield spots, very good defensively. But if he can hit, he can definitely find himself playing every day. It's just, will he be able to hit in Minnesota? Because, like I said, with the Rays last year, could not hit at the Trop, but was solid away from Tropicana Field. How he fares in his home park, I think, and how he fares at Target Field, I think is going to be very interesting. Because it's not necessarily whether it's a hitter's park or not. Sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes it might just be the batter's eye or something or whatnot. It doesn't always have to be, is it a hitter's park or not? So I wonder how Margot fares with that. If he fares well at Minnesota, I think it could be a very nice addition for the Twins. And a nice little kind of sneaky spring training addition that probably flew under some people's radars, considering the fact that, the Dodgers traded him. Moving on, though, let's talk expectations for this Twins team. Obviously, they won the division last year, and it was a rough division. I think the Tigers came second with 78 wins. I think the Tigers and Guardians were tied with 78 wins, I think. It was a rough division. Moving into 2024, what should their expectations be for the 2024 season?
Well, the Twins should obviously have their eye on winning this division. There's no reason why they shouldn't be the favorites to win the AL Central. Cleveland's always one of those teams that, they weren't particularly good last year, but could always, kind of really have a bounce back season and compete. I don't see Detroit, Chicago, or Kansas City really making any kind of noise. It's the AL Central. It's a weak division. It's up for the taking. Twins are kind of one of the better teams, in that regards, where they're going to probably always be in contention for the AL Central. And And then that's it. They'll probably get bounced in the playoffs early on, and it'll be the same thing as usual. One thing I would say, just the Yankees have beaten on the Twins for so long in the playoffs that you start taking that for granted, and kind of the whole genesis of Bleacher Brawls, or part of it being, the Yankees. There's another team the Yankees beat on all the time that I never thought were going to beat the Yankees, and that was the Red Sox, and it eventually happened. So I'd hate for this year to be the year where the Yankees have Juan Soto, they're rolling going into the playoffs, and this happens to be the year that they lose to the Twins. That would just be terrifying, because it's always going to be in the back of my mind that is possible. But that being said, I really think Twins win the division, make the playoffs, lose in the first round. They're not winning a playoff series.
Hey, it's 2004. The Yankees have Alex Rodriguez. The Red Sox can't beat them. And then what do you know, right? Red Sox come back from 3-0. Now, I don't bring that up to bring trauma to you or anything, but I just bring it up because it's like, it's anything can happen, right? It's baseball, right? Anything can happen. This Twins team, I think expectation, win the division, and they're pushing for a deep playoff run this year. They finally, I think last year, yes, they wanted a deep playoff run, but they had to break that drought last year. That drought's broken. That kind of monkey is off their back, should you say. Now it's time to really try and make a deep postseason run. And Byron Buxton staying healthy will be a big part of that, because if he's healthy, that's a massive, massive part of their lineup and their team as a whole. So with that, Twins fans, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Let us know your thoughts. Check out all our other team profiles. And for John, my name is Derek. Thanks for tuning in to Bleacher Brawls, and we will see you next time.